Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop, where we give you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. My name is Chris DeFiorio. I am your host for the show. Hope you're doing well. Hey, listen really quick. Keys to the Shop offers a few different ways to serve you. And one of them is this free resource of the podcast. So I'd be really grateful if you would subscribe and share episodes and all of that fun stuff. Let people know about Keys to the Shop. But also, we do coaching and consulting. I work one-on-one with coffee shop owners and even their management and leadership teams to help them run a really profitable, thriving, people-first coffee shop. Level up your quality, your operations, and your culture by working one-on-one with me at Keys to the Shop. And this is the year. You might have thought about this for a while, but I would love to just have a conversation with you. If it's been on your mind, you've heard me talk about this before, and you just want to explore it, let's have a conversation. Click the link in the show notes and you'll find you can schedule a free 30-minute exploratory call. And another thing that I want you to know about is the webinar coming up. Second time we're launching this. First time was in December. Now that the craziness of the holidays is done, maybe you wanted to join, but you thought, where's the time? This webinar is a really fantastic resource. It's a live session with live Q&A after the presentation on the pillars of specialty coffee shop success. And we cover a ton of principles related to quality, people, and operations. And so I'd love to see you there. Follow the link in the show notes to sign up. It's just $99 per registrant. And it would be great to see you at the webinar on February 11th at 12 noon Eastern time. And then finally, key holder coaching groups, the peer groups of coffee shop owners that Keys to the Shop has been running for the last 2, going on now 3 years. We are accepting applications from interested coffee shop owners. This is a group for people who are experienced coffee shop owners, people with 2+ years of brick and mortar coffee shop experience. And we get people with 2, 3, sometimes 8 to 10 stores, roasting and retail, pure retail coffee shops. But we're all gathering together in these small groups over 6 months to walk through life together and to encourage, give insight, clarity, and support. It's really been fantastic. Go to the show notes and sign up today. Put in an application. We're going to be selecting our groups very soon. It starts spring 2026. So key holder coaching groups, this is the time to sign up. Go ahead and follow the link to apply today. Now, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at pacificfoodservice.com. It's where you go to get samples and try this stuff for yourself. Tasting is believing. Have been producing the world's leading plant-based beverages for decades. They have been supporting the barista community. They have been supporting competitions. They have been supporting coffee shops. It's in the beverage itself. Stands up to the heat from steaming, produces great texture, keeps the balance of taste focused on coffee. Again, go to pacificfoodservice.com, check it out, and taste what this is all about. Baristas around the world prefer it. I think you're going to be very impressed. pacificfoodservice.com. But right now, I want to introduce you to our guest. And it's somebody who has been following the show for a while, and I've been following her show. And I really appreciate her focus on retail. And she actually has a coffee shop background. We're going to talk about that in this episode. But we're talking with retail coach and expert Wendy Batten. She is a retail coach, business strategist, and she works with independent small business owners. And she is also the host of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. Now, she has nearly 30 years of hands-on experience, and she has helped retailers grow profitably while designing a life that they actually want. So we're designing a coffee shop or designing a business, a retail business, and also helping them design the life that they want around that. So it's a big theme of what we talk about today with Wendy. So I'm excited to have Wendy on the show. It's a huge honor, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Here now is my conversation all about retail success and refining your retail in the coffee shop with Wendy Batten. Wendy, welcome to Keys to the Shop. So glad to have you on the show.
What a privilege and a pleasure to be here. I am honored to be here. Thank you for asking.
Oh yeah, and I've been following you online, and I've listened to your podcast, and I know you also coach a lot of retail folks around the world. And my podcasting mind, my own coach mind, is just like, we need to talk. We need to talk about retail specifically in coffee shops. And listen, I mean, starting with the origin story of Wendy, you were in coffee, like you owned your own coffee shop. Tell us how that happened. What was that about? This is before you went into like retail and retail coaching and everything else. So talk about your little the coffee genesis of Wendy.
Well, actually, thank you for asking. I'm always hesitant to share my how I became a coffee shop owner because
Hmm.
we bought the coffee shop via fax. Does anybody remember what a fax machine is?
Ooh, yeah.
We were so there was I lived in a town without an espresso bar. This is 2000, way back in 2000, many moons ago, in a town with no espresso bar. We were out of town where there were espresso bars. So we always like to travel where there were. So we appreciated the value of it. Somebody opened a tea shop. He called it a tea shop, but there was an espresso machine there. A week later, 1 week after he opened, and I don't know if this is even a thing anymore. I don't even hear this anymore. The sheriffs came because he hadn't paid his rent, and I don't know what happened. There was a
Wow.
legal closure of the bank foreclosed on, I think it was his house, and I don't know the story. And we ended up, the bank put out a thing saying, make an offer and you can buy all these things. And no idea what we were buying, put an offer in, no idea what we were doing. Yeah, so we became accidental cafe owners, put an offer in, they accepted it, and we started running a cafe. I started running it. My husband had another business that he was running. It was wild, wild. And people kept telling me, no one's going to pay $3 for a coffee when there's a Dunkin' Donut type place next door. And I'm
Sure.
telling you, they did. It was wildly successful. And it's still running. So I'm very proud of that. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. And you were coffee connoisseurs, I guess we could use that word, right? When you travel. So
Mhm.
when you took on that coffee shop and you started to, initially had a belief that you could charge $3 for a coffee, even
Yeah.
though alternatives of cheaper coffee were there.
Mhm.
Like, so you started to see that being borne out in the numbers. What were some of those early retail lessons that you learned in that store that kind of they may be kind of constant things that you go back to even today when you're kind of like knee deep in that entrepreneurial space?
I think I reference regularly back to my coffee shop days in my current coaching as a retailer, in like even when I was in a retailer. And I reference back to those days as I wish I had known. Like I wish I had known I didn't know my numbers.
Mm.
I mean, kind of, I kind of did, but not really. I didn't know what I should be measuring. I didn't have metrics. I was service. My background, I graduated with hospitality and tourism degree.
Oh
So
wow.
I come from a world of giving and serving, and I loved my customers. I loved everything about front of house of running a coffee shop, if I'm honest. That was like the people, the coffee, I don't know, the whole joy of being with people. I was a terrible leader, like terrible boss. Like I was a good boss because I was really nice, but I was I wasn't holding boundaries. I wasn't like,
Mm.
I had employees that stole from me and I didn't know how to deal. Like, I had a lot of high standards in my business back then that I had a really hard time getting my team to uphold to. And I know I hear you talk about this a lot, but like I had a certain vision of what was going to make our business special. And that was the salt and pepper shaker being a certain way on the table and the feeling of the shop. But then I would come in and my employee, and I didn't know how to be a leader in those days. So I've grown and evolved. That was, oh my gosh, 30 years ago. It's like, no, 26 years
Yeah.
ago, bananas. So I guess what I took from those, like what I look back on those days and I say, I wish that girl had known, like, I wish she'd had a keys to the shop, so I still bring those things. I understand now that we have to give ourselves grace and, in our place where we are, but we also have to educate ourselves. Like now we have so much. We didn't have podcasts.
Hmm.
We didn't have any access to coaching, really. I didn't have any. That wasn't a
Yeah.
thing. It wasn't a thing in 2000.
And I'm sure that you're coaching clients and the people, and you run mastermind style groups, right? Those same things come back. It's almost like it's in if you're going to start a business, especially a customer facing
Yeah.
retail type of business.
Mhm.
These same things come back, and it's part of that journey. Do you feel like that's fair to say?
I think the components they never change. I don't think they
Hmm.
change if you're like just starting out, or if you've been like the same, like you're right, the same things need to be there. You need to understand front of house, you need to understand back of house, you need to understand your number. Like there's just all of those things are still there. They just evolve, and you just level up with those. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so there's that personal aspect that's deeply like you say, well, I was a kind person and people were paying money for the coffee, but then
Yeah.
there's this internal struggle that the entrepreneur, the owner, the
Mhm.
wearer of all hats, especially in the beginning, and
Yeah.
maybe too far into the future because we're not delegating, leave that aside for now. The point is there's the brand and the product, but then there's the turmoil on the inside that's happening behind the scenes. It's emotional. It's a lot
Mhm.
of things, right? How have you seen that kind of tension between those two things really just kind of bleed over and negatively impact the business itself, the product, and the just transactional retail in the cafe? The emotions of everything making a negative impact.
That's such a great question. I do think that, first of all, most of us take it so personally. Like everything is personal.
Mm.
Everything. So if the numbers are bad, we feel bad. If if a customer is rude, we feel like, just like all of those things. I do anyway. I don't know if everybody does, but that's been my experience. And most of the clients I work with have had similar experiences. And like we're taking everything personal. Also, we also let the business, and I know this isn't exactly what you're asking, but we don't just run a business, we run lives too. Right? So when we're trying to run this business and we let it consume us and we let it be everything, and then all these negative things happen, and then we're still trying to be a human on the outside of the world, like, maybe a good spouse and a friend, and maybe we have kids. And so when all of that combines, I feel like I internalize a lot of that. And like that can be it can just make the job even heavier than it needs to be. We don't need to carry all that. We don't need to make it all personal. It is business with a personal touch, but we do need to design our businesses. And this is my wish for more people. That is like, it will affect your business. If you're not a happy, healthy, thriving, energetic, awesome human, neither will your business. Your business won't be either. So we have to really make sure we're not, and this is 30 years of self-employed life. Our family income has come from self-employed life for 30 years. So there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. You have to build the resistance around that too. You have to know it's never going to be, there's no end to it, by the way, friends. There's no end to this. Well, there's not. There's no end to, I know everything now. Everything's going to be great. I'm sure you feel the
Hmm.
same, Chris, like, right? So, but what there is an end to, and how it affects your, again, your team and your customers and your standards and everything in your business, is it all starts with us at the top, and how we feel about our own self and how we're showing up. And if, I don't know, I hope this is making sense. I don't know
Oh,
if
it
it
makes
makes
sense.
sense. Yeah.
30 years of doing anything, you are a different person afterwards. There's a refinement process. Even if you
Right.
feel like you've just been battered and bruised and knocked
Uh-huh.
around like a pinball, you're
Mm-hmm.
still going to be slightly different. But I like what you said about designing your business. Now,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you can clarify a little bit, because there's a lot of people who said, well, that's what the business plan is for.
Yeah.
I like the laugh. That's good.
I'm not a, yeah.
So, talk a little bit about designing business, maybe in a holistic way. It sounds like what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. So some, what do they, there's a word for unconscious, like when you don't know, like how you're supposed to do things, but
Mm,
meaning like, yes, a bank will ask you for a business plan, but let's face it, like reality is we do need a business plan. Do not get me wrong. I am all about planning your business.
yeah.
And actually, just before we sat down, that's what I was doing with my coaching group. We just had a large planning session. But before we can plan our business, and this is something I wish somebody had had the conversation with me 30 years ago. So listen up, people. So we've sold 3 businesses to businesses that are still running. And this is the conversation I have with them, with the people who have bought our businesses. You have to know what your life congruence, how your business serves your life, and first before you jump into running a business. So
Mm,
what do you need from the business? Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's I can't be working 70 hours a week. Like how is the business
yeah.
like? So designing your life first, like what is your life need from the business, which nobody talks about, I don't think. But that's what we do. Like, how much money do I need to take from the business? Like, what does that look like? Like, we don't ask ourselves that. We take the leftovers a lot of times, right? Good or bad, right? Like good or bad,
Yeah.
like, but so my
Sure.
business needs to bring in this much money for me. Like if that was our family livelihood, I also don't want to be working, like understand what your needs are. I want to have fun when I'm at work. Like we forget to talk about joy, and like that's a metric in my family and in our life and in our businesses. We talk about how much fun, like I don't have time to not have fun anymore. Like it's got to be fun. So we do that first, and then we put a business plan in place. Like, okay, well, if Wendy can only work X number of hours because she's running the coffee shop, but we need a manager. Like, that determines that we need a manager because it doesn't fit into our, or whatever, or we need whatever. The business needs to bring in X number of
Yeah.
dollars. We design businesses. I design businesses with my clients. We start with, we bottom up. We do bottom up planning, and I don't know if like a lot of people are doing that, but what do I need? What does the business need? What are the margins? Okay, here's how many sales we have to make. It's not what did we make last year and we're going to try to beat that number, and like
Yeah.
that means nothing, right? So designing means, how does the business fit into how is it serving my life? What's the motivation for even owning your coffee shop? Like ask yourself that question sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh man. Yeah, it's a great question to ask. And at a certain point, you've got to land on a decision about what it is you're trying to go for, and then maybe even be open to
mhm.
changing it as you go. Because you're just kind of saying, well, I kind of think I want this, but then maybe you like running it more than you actually thought you would.
Right.
And the
Absolutely.
distance that you thought you needed is a distance that you end up not needing, or maybe you need
Mhm.
more than you thought you did. But there's another component of this that I think is, and that's just kind of in and of itself a huge and deep thing that people should just kind of meditate
Mhm.
on a lot. It's the practicality of what the business does to sustain itself as a business.
Mhm.
And in the world of, retail and selling stuff, I
Yep.
mean, we love in coffee specifically, I think we're very emotional, heart-led, right-brained, whatever you want to say.
Yep.
And then at the end of the day, in order to make that happen, you've got to make money and you've got to do
Mhm.
it consistently, which means you have to move product, whether it's liquid product or physical product. And you've got a lot of experience in both areas. And it seems like coffee retailers may be heavy on the liquid retail, we'll say.
Mhm. Yeah.
Maybe not so much on the physical retail of things. So maybe this is a good opportunity to talk about what are the practical steps to ensure the sustainability of our businesses cash flow through good retail, like just good retail practices.
Yeah. I think first of all, a lot of people do it wrong. And I don't mean, and that's not like, and I don't, well, I shouldn't say wrong, but, and let me back that up. I don't want to tell anybody they're doing things wrong. I think we just don't know what to do. So we're like, oh, let's start selling stuff, like whatever the stuff
Sure.
is.
Yeah, and it becomes a regrettable decision.
because it hasn't been thought through.
Mm.
So we have ideas. We are so good at ideas. I am amazing. And I have so many, like, I am a creative brain that, like you just said, like, business, like the business strategy and all of this stuff is not my first love. And I don't think it is for a lot of entrepreneurs. Like, it is for some, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of people I work with are, and a lot of coffee shop owners, like you just said, right brain, heart centered, like all of this. So we care deeply. We want to do good in the world. We love our people. We love what we do. Let's have some fun. Let's make some money. You're right. We don't talk enough about the money. If I'm being honest, we have to have a profit in order to
Hmm.
stay in business, in order to serve the people, that's my mission. I want to teach people what I know because I want them to stay in business, so that there's a community coffee shop and there's, like, in my neighborhood, like, it's like communities need us, like they need retail, they need shops. So it's our responsibility as a visionary, as the CEO, head honcho, whatever we're calling ourselves. I think it's really important to understand, okay, like, I can still be kind and thoughtful and caring and awesome, and we can have so much fun in this business, but we have to think about everything as a profit center, like the liquid profit center, the food, classes, whatever category, like we call them categories in retail a lot of times, like whatever category or area, everyone is different. Everyone has a different cost of good, right?
Yeah.
Everyone takes a different training. Everyone has a different, every profit center has a different marketing strategy or plan. I don't, like, whatever. So we have to look at it that way. And I feel like a lot of people don't look at it. They're just like, maybe food and non-food, or liquid and non-liquid, but there's really breaking it down. So that would be my first question. Like, what's our purpose? Like, why are we, if we're going to start selling retail goods in stores? And it's where I say so many people do it wrong. I feel like it's like an afterthought,
Sure. Yeah.
you know?
We're gonna put, or we'll put the stuff there, or we'll buy this, and
Yeah,
maybe I think people like this. We'll just go. I mean, well, what's the
exactly.
not half measure version of
Yeah.
that?
So we have an idea. And again, how, like, let's design our business. Like, how much of our income do we want to make from liquid products or food or, whatever, like, though, and that, even, I'm sure that's all in different categories too, right? It's been a long time since I did that. But okay, like, we have this idea, how do we go from idea to success in the retail side of things? Or
Yeah.
even, and I think you talk about this a lot too. Again, I'm like, I love your podcast. I do listen quite a bit. I feel like we align a lot in the hospitality and the business side of things. But offering, what do our people need? This is the key. It's not about what we need. We want to make money, but the people buying and the people in the coffee shop are the ones that we have to think about. Like,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of, we get lost, that gets lost in translation sometimes, or thought. So we have to make sure that people want it first. Maybe we don't know, we're an experiment, but it has to be intentional.
Yeah.
So if I was bringing in retail, I'd want to be intentional about it. I'd want to make sure it aligns with my brand. Does it make sense for us to bring in to our coffee shop whatever this product is? T-shirts, mugs, journals, books, vendors, flowers, whatever you're going to bring in, coffee, like all the apparatus, all the fun things that people like me love to buy every time I go into a coffee shop. So it depends on what you're bringing in. First of all, does it align with the brand? And I see that misalignment sometimes.
Yeah.
I was in a coffee shop the other day, and there's this weird grouping of stuff on a wall. And I mean, maybe, and it turned out it was the owner's sister's product line of things that she would like, right? Okay, you know where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it didn't actually align with the vibe of the shop. It was a beautiful boutique kind of coffee shop, and it was this interesting mix of stuff. So it has to align with your brand, right? It has to be
Yeah.
profitable. So you have to know the cost of goods. Like, seeing that really cool thing that you want to bring in. Oh, that'd be so cool if we bring in, bring it in. well, what's the profit on it? That's not the
Yeah.
first question people ask, and it should be. What's the markup? What's the profit? What's it going to cost us? What's the possibility there? How often do we plan on turning it? Like, if we're bringing in mugs or we're bringing in something, is it something we're going to sell once a year? Because that's money we're spending. Like, we're spending money. We're literally buying something and we're putting money on the counter, on the shelf. Like, money's just sitting on the shelf until it
Yeah.
sells. So brand alignment, profitability, two biggies. Do your customers want it? Those are like the three, those would be the first three things. It has to earn its keep. Like, again, like I mentioned, like, what's the possibility here with this product? Like, these are, simple questions, but we don't always do them.
Yeah.
Earning its keep means if we buy this product and we put it on this shelf and it takes up this much space, are we taking tables away? Are we like,
Well, yeah.
sales per square foot? Like, we have to look at what that's going to be. Like, what are we giving up if we say yes to this? What are we saying?
Hmm.
What percentage of our sales do we want to be products?
You're bringing up some pretty practical stuff that takes longer. Like if somebody's hearing you talk about this and they're thinking, okay, this afternoon I'm going to come up with answers to all of those questions. I don't
Mhm.
think you haven't. That's not enough time to come up with really good answers. Now, maybe you've been doing it for a long time
Mhm.
and you can just kind of mine the depths of the accumulated wisdom that you have, and you could
Yeah.
do it faster. But it sounds more like you're having a conversation with the reality of your business, like
Mhm.
the people, for instance, like what people want. You said, what
Mhm.
do people need? People determine if they need it, but if they want it, and it's for various perceived needs. So caffeine might be like a very perceived need, but a coaster with your logo on it, or that coffee
Mhm.
pour over setup, or whatever, that's a perceived need. I need to get that, but I kind of want
Yeah.
it. But I guess you would have to really know your customer well to understand that.
Well, I think this is where hospitality and branding and building that community, and I mean, all the things that we all should be doing or could be doing, or I'm going to say should be. I don't say should very often, but that's what we should be doing, especially in 2026, right? Like, people are craving everything that you have at a coffee shop. Like, we are
Yeah.
craving connection. And what I see, that nobody needs your coffee. We can all make coffee at home. We don't need to go to a coffee shop. I'm
Yeah.
just like devil's advocate here. Like, nobody needs to buy a pour over. Nobody needs a coaster. Nobody needs, we can get it. If we do need it, we can get it anywheres. We can get anywheres anytime. So what makes your shop unique, or your cafe unique? What do your people like? Do they want to be part of your community? So that's the other thing about products on your shelf. In a really cool coffee shop in New Zealand last year, and if I can dig it out, I'll send you the picture. So we were and they had a whole wall of swag, like of their branded items, tote bags, coffee, everything, just the whole wall, the coasters, the whole thing. And I bought one. I bought something from that coffee shop, and I don't buy a lot.
Yeah.
I bought it because it was so well marketed. The vibe in that cafe was like amazing. It was just like the people, the service, everything. I was a tourist in that town. Now, I was a regular tourist. I was there for a couple of weeks in that one town, but I'm like, wow. So my husband and I were talking about this, and he said, like, you don't buy stuff like that. Why did you buy that? And I'm like, the vibe here is so cool. I just want to take a piece of that with me.
Yeah.
I'm a tourist. I'm a not regular. So they're selling a lot of that stuff. But the purpose, and I talked to the owner because that's what I do. And she said they don't look at it as a retail. That wall of stuff is more about branding for them. So they brought in all that retail for marketing purposes versus
Yeah.
revenue purposes. Now, it's all needs to still have a profit. But what are your, so when you talk about, like, I don't need a pour over, but if I'm walking in and the display's beautiful and it feels good and everything's gorgeous, and oh man, like, now I desire one. I don't need it,
Yeah.
but I desire one, right? So it's merchandise beautiful, and your team is really well trained on how to sell it to me and all of those things. So that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
difference. That's the difference. Nobody needs anything we sell. It's all about really understanding that community and that person that comes into your shop, and how are we making them feel? That's how we sell more to them.
That's great. I have this image in my mind of the ribbon candy that grandmas used to have on their I don't know if it's just me, but it all stuck into one piece. You know how it like melted. You pick up one, the whole thing comes out. It's a hospitality thing. It's very impractical though. It's offered to you, but it's not really thoughtful. I mean, it's thoughtful enough, but it's not functional. It's not available. Or you think about the shelving that is taken up with stuff that's really dusty.
Oh,
Or
don't talk to me about dusty
oh
shelves.
my gosh, let's talk about dusty stuff then. I
Yeah.
mean, because you're
Uh-uh.
just mentioning that wall of swag. Now, what if would I guess you wouldn't have maybe bought that thing if that wall was the exact same thing, but the product wasn't pulled forward
Mm-hmm.
or it wasn't dusted. Talk a little bit about these basics. I think people just kind of forget.
Yeah. So pet peeve. That is a pet peeve of mine. I will tell you. They hide it, like you said. It's just afterthought. You can tell when it's afterthought. It's cluttered. Um, not priced. No pricing on things. Like
Mm,
pricing, you need to price everything. People pick up things. No one is going to pick up something and then they don't want to come and ask you. That's a thing. That's a retail 101 thing.
mm,
You need a right product. You need the right product mix, meaning it needs to make sense. Like it can't just be jumbled, I don't know, random stuff, as we mentioned earlier. So being thoughtful about what you're bringing in, merchandising it, training your staff. This is the other key part. After you realize that, it aligns with our brand, it's profitable, our customers would love this stuff or whatever. The next part of that is marketing. And marketing does mean displaying it and merchandising it and taking care of it. And like nobody wants to buy anything that's dirty or dusty. So, I mean, that's got to be part of your shop standards or I call it shop standards, but um, your staff have to be aware. Like they can't say, I don't know anything about those things. Like you just,
yeah.
like it can't be like, so like the other part of hospitality, I I know that your listeners will believe this or understand this. It's trust, right?
Mm,
So we have to trust that you've brought like your brand means something to me now. Like I love this coffee shop. I come in here all the time, and like I'm whatever. Oh, and now I got to buy gifts, or I just want to buy something, or I need something for home, or
yeah.
whatever. Um, the trust has to be there as well too. I have to trust that you're going to have the right products in stock when I come down to pick up my pour over that you're supposed to have or usually have. Number two, I have to trust that your staff can tell me or somebody can explain to me or serve me. And your barista's not, like maybe they got to wear multiple hats. That's one of the hats, right? So
Hmm.
it's just part of the job. And we have to have a plan in place. I don't mean to sell it. Like we have to understand the value of that wall of things that we have or that section. It's a profit center. It's an area of your business that your customers see and you just can't, and again, dirty, dusty stuff. Just yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
priced and looking good, it has to look good, it has to be kept clean, it has to be pulled forward, like you said. Also, it can't be empty. Like
Yes.
really like so what's your inventory like how often will you order inventory? Nothing looks worse than coming in and seeing like three mugs or whatever
And
it
like
is you're selling or
one bag of coffee on a large shelf, right?
yeah, like it's like weird and nobody's going to buy that. So you just feel like is something weird's going on here. So people buy from really full shelves. They love it. People like, and think of your own shopping experiences as well. Where do you feel good? Displayed well, merchandise well,
Yeah.
um, literally like, little tiny merchandising tips, thinking about how you even display it. If you're displaying it in a coffee crate or, I don't know, something, making things feel good for me to buy is
I
key.
mean,
And it does go back to trust. I also need to trust the products that I'm buying from you because that's your brand attached to whatever I'm buying, right? So
exactly. And a famous kind of Danny Meyerism of being for hospitality is for people. It's not done to them.
right.
And the when we talk about upselling often is used as some kind of a blunt force retail trauma. Like people are gonna we're going to make you buy whipped cream because we're have a competition going in the back kitchen to see who
Right.
can upsell the most,
Right.
which doesn't sound very, it doesn't sound like it goes very well for the customer because we're not giving them what they want. But
Mm-hmm.
it's that trust is eroded.
Yeah.
And the customer psychology is sort of a little defensive starting out, going into a store. I do it all the time. I mean, I work in hospitality, but still, when I go into a new space, I still feel like there's a pressure. So, talk a little bit about the customer psychology, because you were just getting into that with no one wants to buy this lone bag from a dusty, dark lit shelf. What other things are maybe even just retail in general, but maybe specifically coffee shops doing in? We're not doing ourselves any favors when it comes to customer psychology walking into our spaces.
Yeah. So the customer, like, it is exactly what you just said. It's all about hospitality. So when it comes to selling, or I just take out the word selling, I always put serving in there. I am not pushing whipped cream on you when you like, but I would be very excited if you said, you want some whipped cream? Do you want some whipped cream on that? Like, there's a different way of asking somebody. It's the same as when somebody, that whole, do you want fries with that? You know, we all know when we hear that, do we want fries with that? Like, there's different way of approaching that. So in retail and in serving, like, I'm looking at that pour over or I'm buying coffee or whatever. If you genuinely care that that I'm served with the best product on your shelf, like whether it's a mug or I don't know, whatever it is, whether it's a t-shirt with your brand and logo on it,
Yeah.
there is a absolute positive, and we've all experienced this. When I genuinely want to serve you and help you, like, let me show you, like, other customers love this with that. Like, that's a great thing to say. Like, a really popular, like, other people love this with that. That's not
Yeah.
slimy. That's being helpful. I want you to show me that. I don't want to get home with that pour over and come in the next day and find out that you had these really great mugs that I didn't see. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that would be great or perfect for that. So if you come from a place of service, there's other things we can do to make more sales if you want to, say that, but bundling up things, bundling up, you buy this and,
Yeah.
these two things are, and that's a silly little obvious thing, but in retail, it works really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 for 20 or whatever, like simple little things that make people say, "Oh, I'll just take two." They were
Yeah.
$10 each or 2 for 20. No, I'm just, that literally, that literally works that way sometimes. But I feel like if you're just like, and I don't feel like, I know, I see this, we practice this, my clients practice this. This is how I teach sales. It is 100% coming from a place of, like, how else can I help you? Like, what else do you need? Or, who else are you shopping for? If they're buying gifts, who else are you shopping for? Like, how else can we help you? It doesn't have to be slimy and it does take practice. I will be honest, it does take practice, but
Yeah.
suggestive selling, simple ways, even with your team, when you're coaching your team and, we're going to add this beautiful retail section to our store. And, we're really excited about it and it looks good. It feels good. Now, how do we sell these things? Picking the best sellers, and you'll learn those.
Yeah.
Experienced retailers already know, well, we sell those all the time. Your best sellers, pick a companion product to that bestseller, something that a lot of people do buy with it. Like, honestly, like,
Mm.
they buy the pour over, they buy the mug. Like, these two things go together really well. So that makes it a no-brainer when Chris is
Yeah.
serving me and, like, you're trying to show me this product, and then you can honestly say, this works really great with this, or it looks really good together, or it feels really good together. Don't make assumptions for me as the consumer. That's the other part of it. Stop making assumptions and stop shopping from your own pockets. That's the other one too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shopping from your own pockets.
Mm. There's
What is that? Yeah.
that is making the assumption that people won't pay $500 for something, like, whatever, because you wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
your staff might be shopping from their own pockets when there's you've brought in these high end because you know your clients and you just have a feeling, whatever. Recently, this just happened to me as well too. There's $55 mugs in ceramic mugs in this local coffee shop, and they're gorgeous. And I know who the guy is who makes them. And
Yeah.
the employee said, and I quote, she said, "Well, they're beautiful, but there's no way in heck I would pay $55 for a mug." This is the employee. I was the customer. I was like, "Oh, you wait till I talk to your boss." No, just kidding. So, but she didn't know that I would pay $55 for that mug
Oh
because
yeah.
I wanted that ceramic artist. And anyway, that's shopping. So that's reminding
That's
your
good.
clients that or your team not to shop. Never make assumptions about my budget. You don't know what I call affordable or what I call expensive or
Yeah.
whatever as a customer, right? So
Right.
remember that. Like it's just that part will help you sell better. You're just being of service. You're not making assumptions about me or my budget or anything. So show me the things, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I love the generous disposition and of that, and
yeah,
just kind of removing yourself from the equation, and even just because we feel guilty sometimes, I think,
hmm
selling things to people because, like you said, that's so kind of a revolutionary way to think. Am I just projecting,
hmm
myself onto other people? And everyone's value set is different. I spend To the average person, if they looked at what I spend on coffee, they would probably think I have a problem.
right,
Maybe I do.
yeah,
I don't know. But
hmm
they pay way more for things that I would never value.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Had this conversation with a client literally around this assumption thinking, and it's like maybe you would never splurge for first class.
Hmm.
That's like looking at it that way, like that's just like, wow, no, I would rather take that money and go bungee jumping or something. Okay, I'm on my way to New Zealand, so those two things are on my mind. I'm heading to New Zealand, so,
Yeah.
but like, you know we do make assumptions, but you wouldn't do that, but then the next person wouldn't think twice about it. So
Yeah.
it's all trade-offs. So never make assumptions. And I think we also, well, we usually make assumptions based on our filters, right? So, but I've learned over the years, never make assumptions. Nobody's budget is any of your business. Yeah.
Sure. So then one of the things that we lack is, in general, just training, good
Mhm.
training
Mhm.
in almost I don't want to sound so cynical and doomsday
Yeah.
like, but the scale with which our footprint as an industry is expanding
Yeah.
is far outstripped our ability to train people to do responsibly with those things, the things that should be done, the promises made
Mhm.
by marketing. It's just checks we can't cash with the experience. So if people want to get a retail team, a
Mhm.
team of people that are making coffee, selling cups and
Yeah.
ceramic cups and all that stuff from the shelves,
Mhm.
what are the things that they should be doing to train their employees to really do this well? The way that you're talking, not
Mhm.
slimy, not perfunctory, just like rote stuff, but a little bit more switched on with the sparkle in the eye, if you will.
Mhm. That's the culture of your cafe, isn't it? I mean, doesn't that
Mm.
come from the top?
Ah,
I feel like, and I don't mean that, I'm not trying to be funny about that, like saying, well, it's all your fault, but like, it's, and I'm going to loop this back to, this is why you as the owner of the business and you know, have to have a business that you've designed that you love and you're still happy in and you're joyful, because that's what your culture is going to lead down, right? It all comes down. So if you're coming from a place of chaotic leadership, which I have a lot personally, like I can, I like I'm not saying that it's not, but if we remember that we're the one in control, we're the one that lead. If we lead from a place of generosity and kindness, if we treat our team the same way we want them to treat our customers, like we should be treating our team with the same hospitality we treat our clients. In my opinion, that's where I come from. That's my
Sure.
thoughts. Um, and then they buy into the culture of service, right? And hospitality. We can teach skills, like we can teach them how to, do things. And then we just build on that. No one's walking into the shop and 3 days of training later and have all of this nailed. Like it's just not
Yeah.
that. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. That's not happening. But if they walk into a shop where there's a team effort and everybody's supporting everybody, and I'm not, I feel like you're living in Shangri-La, like, but like I see this work when it comes from, but it starts at the top. It starts with us. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, it's possible with good, calm leadership. And I know we have a million hats we have to wear, or we feel like we have to wear. That's where just getting better systems and strategies and taking the load off yourself, even just because you do need to show up. Like we need to show up as that. We can be chaotic with our coaches or like, with our, our internal team, but we just have to remember what we're doing here. What are we doing? We're serving people. We're hospitality business. That's what we're doing. Like, it's about the customer. It's always about the customer. It's always about the hospitality at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So everything will come, like everything will eventually, if you have to have a training plan and checklist, and maybe those key sentences, a couple of those sentences that I just shared, like, what else can I help you with? Who else are you buying for? Or, like just coming up with a couple of key things to ask in the retail side of things, making sure there's the minimum and then there's the next level, right? So also as leaders, and I know you teach this very well, as bosses or even your leads, we need to course correct more than we do. We don't have those hard conversations as much as we should sometimes, I think. I always say there's freedom on the other side of those hard conversations, right? So making sure that we're leading and we're guiding and we're acknowledging good behavior, right? Saying that, but like, we're acknowledging when, like,
Sure.
I love the way, like, that lady, or, that lady loved that you helped her with that. Thank you for, just again, being gracious.
Yeah.
So that's not going to solve the training problem, but it definitely makes it easier for your team and for yourself when everybody's on the same page and we're all riding the bus together and we all have the same, we have the same goal in mind. So it makes forcing training, be nice, it's like, so
you really can't convince people against their will, and you can't convince them against their eyes either. If they see you're just a miserable cuss and you're trying to be in retail and hospital, I'm being nice to the customer, do like I do. I mean, your example.
It's exactly it, right?
Yeah. Well, if there was no training manual, and I love that you kind of put it this way, because it's from the top down. If there's no training manual, checklist, any kind of system, but there was an owner who was engaged and led by example every day with sparkle and charisma, you almost would be like, there's got to be a system. Because it's caught, right? The example. I imagine you see it all the time.
Yeah, we definitely have to have systems. Like it's just boundaries as well too. Like, I mean, all of this, right? That's where the chaos comes. Like I always call it, being in a place of, and again, 30 years of self-employed, I've been in massive chaos storms, like just winging it and all that. But that's where strategy and systems come into play. That's where, this is how we, like, I once heard, I'm trying to think of his name, from Disney, and he said, culture is really just, this is how we do things around here. Like, that's the definition of culture, right? This is how we do things around here. So here's the way we do things around here, we serve with a smile, and here's how we do, we do have those strategies and systems. So yeah.
Sure. So even if you're a charismatic individual, and I feel like that's like a large percentage of this is that top-down culture, but then the protective element that allows people to rely on that, even though we're emotionally drained this week, or we can remain smiling and loving and kind and patient through COVID. because we actually believe this, but we also have procedures, and like
Yeah.
you talked about boundaries
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So it feels like it's all kind of symbiotic, like it works together.
It's a full ecosystem. I call
Yeah.
it an ecosystem. I feel like it all has to, but you definitely, definitely need systems.
Yeah.
But that's how it stays unchaotic, right? And then that's how, so I've always been nice and kind and wanting to serve from my heart and, had a, generous way of serving, but I also got run over by my team and my staff. Like me as a human and the way I probably serve customers hasn't changed. I mean, hasn't changed much from 30 years ago. As far as I still like loved all my customers, whatever. Me as a leader has changed, but what has changed is systems and, being able to show up happy because the systems are in place, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
like all of this is in place. So again, having a very clear idea as well too, and having that outlined. My experience with my clients is that we don't write that out. We don't have a clear, what is our culture? Like, I don't know, like we just do, like do as, like you just said, do as I say, be nice to people. Like just be super clear, like in your expectations with your people as well too, right? We
Hmm.
don't want everything running chaotic either, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned something about being run over by staff, for example.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
It strikes me that people can be run over by customers too.
definitely.
And also, yeah, we're back to like the consignment thing where somebody's brother, sister, we're
Yeah.
going to do give you shelf space. Or if it's in with even like, well, we're a local coffee shop, so we have to sell local honey, or we
Hmm.
have to sell local, doilies. And
Hmm.
now they're not selling, but we feel obligated to have these artisans of our
Yeah.
local economy here. So
Yeah.
everyone, it feels entitled to take a slice of your business
Uh-huh.
because you're independent, you're local, and you're for us, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no, it's not
Donations,
like a flea
donations,
market.
donations. Yeah. All the, yeah. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about, as we kind of wrap up here. This is a couple of my last questions. Is that what does boundaries look like while remaining generous, kind, and hospitable? And it
Uh-huh.
feels almost like you're betraying those values when you say no to some of this stuff.
Yeah. So to me, there's a difference between nice and kind, right?
Mm,
So when we're just being nice, so you should have 27 types of coffee or whatever. Like, well, that would be really nice, but would not be kind because we'd have chaos behind the bar, right? So,
uh,
so we have limited our choices. So we can, and we can be generous with our like we don't have to say no, that's stupid, you know what I mean, like that's a stupid idea. So the same thing applies to, we could be really nice and just let our team make their own hours, making this up, whatever, like mine were, they were just like showing up when they wanted to at some point. But that's me being nice, that's me being like that's not running a business, right? So you do have to put the invisible CEO hat on. I actually have a real one behind me here. Like we put the CEO hats on when I mean business with my clients. Like we have to put that CEO hat on. We have to sit up a little straighter. We have to make decisions that might be, but we're still being kind. I'm still a kind person, even though I'm saying, no, this is the schedule. Now we can maybe work and like, have policies and strategy and systems in place so you can apply for time off and whatever we need to do. But the kind thing to do is for me to have a system so that you understand, this is the system. We have policies. We have, refund. I don't know, whatever the policy is, so that when Susie comes in and says, "Oh, I want you to sell my art in your," or whatever, wow, that is beautiful art. Like we can still be really kind,
yeah.
but that at this point in time, this doesn't fit into the business right now. Like,
Yeah.
we can say no. The funny part about that is a lot of times we're feeling guilty maybe around that. They don't care. They're going asking all the people. They're asking all the stores, or it's the same thing as maybe making a custom, like, something, doing something different, or bringing
Hmm.
in, like I said, a product line.
Yeah.
let's bring in, XYZ honey. One customer mentions it, and then somebody else is standing down the line and they say, oh, that would be so cool. So now we feel like, oh, we should bring that in, but there's no profit in it, and whatever, you bring it in, nobody buys it. It just sits there. So be kind to your business too, right? Then like we can have, again, put your CEO hat on. Is this good for the business? Is this good for the brand? A lot of times when I felt personal about my business, as we talked about at the very beginning, because it all feels personal, I ask myself, instead of saying, is this good for Wendy? How does it make me feel? Oh crap, I got to make this decision. Is this good for the brand? Because you're building a brand. This isn't about you. It's not about the owner and the CEO or whatever. It's a brand you're building. Is this good for the brand?
Yeah.
We have to make tougher decisions. And we make mistakes. We're going to bring in some things, right? But having too many choices, letting our staff run over us, those are all the things. Like, I go back again to the coffee shop, giving away free. This was still is to this day, my most annoying thing is every local football team, whatever, comes and asks me for a donation. So we put policies around that. So, thank you very much. We only take things letter letters. I don't know how you teach your people to do this, but because we want to be community minded, right?
Yeah.
So we set aside a certain budget and we say, we do our allocations twice a year. And that's what most of my clients do. We pick our charities and our donations twice a year. They don't know who so we can pick, we can choose. Maybe we have one favorite charity we're going to work with, but the other ones everything's a great cause nowadays, everything. So
Sure.
So that's how we put boundaries around that. But that's still being kind. It's like, thank you. I'll take your, we do this twice a year, or our allocations are already up this year. Thank you for asking us.
That's so
Like,
cool.
we can still be kind, right? So
yeah, I love that distinction. Kindness is this inevitably gives you permission to set boundaries.
Nice is letting your team come in late every day. You're being nice,
Yeah.
letting them come in late. Kind is telling them how pissed off you are about that and how it's affecting everybody else, right? So
Sure.
having that, it's usually about us not wanting hard conversations with people. So
yeah. You're and because you're thinking about everybody else, and that's part of your role as a leader, is to consider the big picture in how to maneuver the minutia in a way that serves all of that as you go. It's Oh, and by the way, I just thought there's this book by Peter Miller called Shopkeeping, and I know I've recommended it to people before. It's a small book. It's like a architecture bookstore in Seattle, but some of the stuff we've been talking about is actually a little like in line with the stuff that he's been doing for maybe it's 40 years that he's run this shop. But your advice here is gold, and I love that you're out there coaching people, helping them set their spaces up in a way that serves them and serves the people, right? What advice, like if you could pick one or two really high level things that you want people to constantly be coming back to when it comes to being a good retailer, what would it be?
I love to say, like, awesome is never accidental, and that because being an awesome brand, being an awesome leader, it doesn't happen by accident. So I really feel that it's important to keep, as you evolve, as your business evolves, your role evolves with it. Like I said, it never ends. Sorry. So like, keep learning and keep, getting help and building your skill set. I feel like we also, after a few years, I see this often, and I don't know if this is your experience, but I see this after being in business for a few years. You kind of feel like I got this, right. I've been running this coffee shop for 7 years. I know what I'm doing. And I feel like we stop learning, maybe, or we stop realizing there's fresh things and there's new things, there's new ways to look, there's new filters, there's bigger ideas out there. We create in silos, right? Or we can't create in silos, and we're trying to build it from here. So it's about, as your brand evolves, as you evolve, as the customer evolves, come on now, things are changing all the time. Leaning into who can help you like with that skill level, or a book or a podcast, like listen to a podcast, like listen to a couple of podcasts, like, get coaching. What do I need? And that has always been the awesome is never accidental, is like my clients like repeat that back to me all the time, because I have to give that. I think it's John Acuff's quote, actually. I don't know if you know John, but it's not accidental. Like nothing's by luck. She's so lucky because her shop's busy or whatever. That's not luck. It's because she's doing the work, or, he's doing the work, right? Or putting the systems in. And it's never super easy for anybody. Like, I don't know if you feel like, about any part of self-employed life, it's about building the resilience to get through all those, like go over the mountains and around the hills and all the things that we get. We call them dodgeballs in my world. Like there's been so many dodgeballs in the last few years, right? Having the right people around you. And I also feel like relationships are rocket fuel. So in your community, with your customers, with your team, with your coaches, with bigger communities, relationships are rocket fuel. They are what help you. So like those two things in my world, like are constant and have been. I've always had a coach. I've always, tried to elevate. I read all the time. There's like a stack of books behind me. So I just feel like we're always evolving and we need to keep learning. And we also need to remember, like, we're doing the best we can. Like, we have to stop beating ourselves up sometimes, right? So we have a tendency from my experience is we always feel like we could have done better, maybe, right? Could have done a little bit better, So there's this tension between doing better and being okay with what we've done, and we're doing the best we can. We're being dealt all these cards, right? And so let's just play them as well as we can and keep learning new card tricks. I don't know, but so
love it. That's a whole lot of value right there, just in the last couple of minutes here, Wendy. I really appreciate you being on the show, and I would love to hear, tell the audience where they can go to learn more about your podcast, your coaching, your groups, and all of that.
Well, I want to say it's been a privilege. I felt very privileged for you to ask me that, to jump on the podcast with you. So as I said, I've been following forever. So thank you for having me. It has been a privilege and a pleasure to be here. I have my podcast is called the Creative Shop Talk Podcast. And I primarily am a business strategist for independent brick and mortar retail and beyond. I love to look, and as you've heard, I'm a life first coach. I really believe we're building businesses for businesses that support our life, like that give us joy and money and all the things, whatever you need from it. So you can find my podcast all the places, and my website is wendybatten.com. And I'm also on Instagram. I love having chats on Instagram. So I'm at wendybatten.biz on Instagram. So yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Wendy, awesome. Thank you so much. Great conversation. And thank you for the work you do and for just giving us all this value in this conversation today.
Well, and thank you for all the work you do. Again, where were you 30 years ago? so we needed a podcast back then. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Chris. Thanks.
Right on. Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, everybody. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that conversation. wendybatten.com, BATTEN.com. So wendybatten.com. You can get plugged into the coaching, the groups. You can get plugged into the podcast and really just learn from her expertise and the approach, the frameworks that help people make great decisions that take care of people, that take care of the shop and your space, and take care of you. So this is what Wendy is all about. And a huge thank you to Wendy for not only the work you do, but being here on the show and being so generous with your advice for the Keys to the Shop audience. So thank you, Wendy. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Go refine your retail. Go make it excellent. Thank you for being here. And as always, I hope that this episode has truly given you keys to the shop.